Are we breaking up?
No, I'll break up with you when you least expect it. I want to crush you when you think we're doing good.
It's none of our business. 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 It's none of our business.
Hi, Monica.
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's great. Welcome, everybody, to the It's Really None of Our Business podcast.
It's Monica and Amanda.
So this is a podcast where what do we do? How do we sum up this podcast?
Well, we drink wine and we talk about human relations.
Yep.
And we talk about what we read on the internet that we call what the fuck. That's it in a nutshell.
It's true. And we always end up kind of going all over the place and just having those conversations that you would have with your friends on a drinking night.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're drunk conversations.
Exactly.
And at this point,
yeah,
we are having a drunk conversation.
We've had a glass of wine or two and we've been talking and we just didn't hit record. And we thought, you know what? Why are we doing this and not recording it?
And we should. Because everyone wants to know our deeper inner thoughts. Everyone wants to know all our thoughts.
I just had this thought. Well, I didn't just have it, but I've been thinking this a bit. Like the whole narcissist conversation we've been having a little bit recently.
Yeah.
What does it mean about you that, like, and me too, that we just like want to record ourselves and post it on the internet and we assume people want to hear it? Like, what does that mean about us?
I don't think it means that we're narcissists. I think that we're just better than everybody else.
What is that? The fact that you just said that.
Just kidding. Totally just kidding. It is, and I've heard that before. I've heard people say, oh, well, welcome to the narcissist group, because a lot of podcasters, we're all on other people's podcasts and we like to talk about ourselves. But I definitely don't see myself as a narcissist.
I wouldn't consider myself a narcissist, but I'm definitely an attention whore. Like, I like people to look at me and pay attention to me. Like, and I see it in my daughter, like, so much. Like, she struts around and she puts on her dress and she does those princess dresses and she goes, am I beautiful? And she likes to sing and dance. And I'm looking at her and I'm going, you're fucking adorable. Like, how can I want to dive into this and like help you be more creative? Because I remember as a kid feeling these like creative and like wanting people to look at me. And okay, so I
do
like,
too, actually.
People, everybody's always saying like, my biggest fear is public speaking. I hate when people look at me. I don't want to get married because I don't want to walk down the aisle and have people look at me. And I'm thinking, I want everybody to look at me. I want everybody to hear what I have to say. Like, look at me. Except not always though, because like it's not before this. I didn't like post on social media and stuff. So I don't know like what it is, but it's like I keep telling myself like not that many people are comfortable talking in front of a microphone. So like I'm just gonna dive in because I love it.
You know, I have this weird idea too of like, okay, long after I'm dead.
You want to have like...
Yeah. So, okay, can you imagine if your mom was podcasting for, say me and you podcast together for another 20 years.
Yeah, which we will.
For sure. And then you have this, I keep thinking that like, what a better diary of who I am. Like, if you want to look back, I mean, I know you people and another 5 other people are watching right now, and maybe I know neither one of my children. Yeah. But it's like sort of like it's recording something.
It's like finding your grandpa's letters from the war.
Yeah.
You're like,
this is it. We're the grandpa's letters from the war.
Exactly.
Right? Because we talk about current events, kind of, sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
No, we don't really.
We'll start. Let's make that a New Year's resolution. Start talking about current events.
Well, can you imagine when your children are sitting around the table and they're like, do you remember that time mom was talking about anal sex on her podcast?
Totally. She was talking about her sex life with her dad.
Do you think she was right? Yeah. Like, they're going to go, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I don't know, narcissist...
I don't think that either of us are narcissists, but I do think it's an interesting quality that we like to talk so much that we started recording ourselves and posting it on the internet. Yeah. So people were like, well, if we like listening to each other talk, other people must like it too.
And then we go, we're so funny.
So tell us, guys, do you think we're funny? We need you to acknowledge it, please.
Yeah. Please just hit that follow button, that like button, so we know.
That is the thing. Like, it's not, in order to support us, like, we don't need your money. Although if you want to write me a check
Wait a minute.
send me,
you can money.
You can send me an e-transfer if you want to support me, but that's not what I'm looking for. I want you, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. We post these on YouTube.
Yeah,
the videos are good.
We're funny, and Amanda spends a little time on that, and you're funny. Yeah. Well, I'm funnier.
Oh, I was just like so excited. I'm like, she finally admitted I'm funny. That's probably the first time it's ever happened. Okay, anyways, let's get talking. So, what are we talking about this week?
Well, I started thinking about, have you ever had a girlfriend break up with you? Like, what a weird thing that is.
It is. I actually have a couple situations I can think of. I have one that I went to a dinner with a friend with the intent to break up with her.
Really?
Because I want to say before I had kids, it was probably 8. Have I talked about this on the podcast? No. I feel like I might have. But we were just fighting all the time. She had different expectations of me. We used to spend a ton of time together. And then I started just getting busy with other things. And it got to the point where I couldn't see her as much. And I think she was feeling really hurt and not invited to stuff. So then she was getting argumentative. And we were just arguing with each other all the time. Yeah. And I remember after months or whatever of just fighting with her all the time, I was like, I gotta break up with her, and let's go meet for wings or whatever. And break up is a weird word, but I remember I did tell Karsten, I'm going to break up with her tonight. Yeah. And so we go, and we ended up, I said,
did you say it's not you, it's me?
Yeah, exactly. It was more there's something going on in our relationship. And have you had that with relationships where they shift? It's we used to spend every minute together, but as time changes, our relationship is changing. I'm not able to come have dinner with you every single night because I now have other things going on.
But that's maturity.
Right? That's exactly right. So we ended up having the conversation of, I think our relationship is just changing. And we agreed to work it out. And honestly, we're still good friends. And I think she now is also very busy with her life and I'm busy with my life. And we see each other as often as we can. But it's the expectations are on the table of how often we see each other, how often we text each other. And it's actually awesome. So I tried to break up with her. It didn't work, but I'm glad it didn't.
So did you say we need to talk, or
Well, it was more I'm sick of fighting with you all the time. We're freaking over. Let's go for wings and get this out on the table. You need to tell me what you're mad at me about, and I'll tell you. And and by the end of the conversation, it was I don't know. We just decided to stay together.
Well,
work on it for the kids.
I think that a female friendship that demands too much of you at any time, even in your 20s. Because I'm assuming it sounds like you were probably in your 20s when that happened.
Yeah, early
this
mid-20s.
Is what happens to my daughter. She has these relationships with friends when they want all their attention because you're single and you don't have anything going. Not that you don't have anything going on, but you don't have a husband or a boyfriend or whatever. And often when a boyfriend comes into the picture,
I think that's what happened.
That's when the fights occur. But I had a best friend, so I was best friends with her for a number of years. And then when me and my ex-husband split up, I went through this really needy phase because, when you end a relationship like that, you are I was a mess.
And you're used to being with somebody and now you're alone. I can see how that is very reasonable.
And so I remember feeling so needy. I would call my sister, I'd call my friends.
Everybody's Monica's calling.
It'd be that feeling when somebody calls you and you look at your phone and you're fuck. You're that was me.
I'm in for an hour conversation that I don't want to have.
Yeah. As Monica is crying on the phone again. So anyways, I was probably in that phase for a year. I remember that year as this is the worst period in my life when I felt I'm such a calm person. You know what I mean? Seriously. I'm the person who's never going to yell at you or have a fit or...
Except last time we recorded, you called me a stupid bitch.
Well, you were a stupid bitch.
You think I'm ever going to forget that?
I don't care. Are we breaking up?
No, I'll break up with you when you least expect it. I want to crush you when you think we're doing good. Anyways, go on.
Breakup stories. So anyways, I feel like I was really needy that year. Like, I think I was probably one of those annoying friends.
It happens.
It happens. And she just stopped talking to me. Like, it was not one of...
Like, you got ghosted?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. So you would text her and like get no response.
Yeah. I would text her and get no response, or I would see her and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's so good to see you." And then she'd be like, "Yeah," and then just sort of do that sigh.
Doesn't that make you?
And then you're like, "Oh, like there's something wrong,"
but you don't want to admit it. You're like,
and I never approached her and said, "Hey, let's talk about this." Like, I never did that. I just did that. So, I mean, and then when I would come back to the island, because this is where it was on Text 8, I'd come back every summer and I would, for the 2 or 3 years, I would just send her a message like, "Hey, I'm on the island, love to see you." And they'd be like, "Oh, I'm really busy."
So you were best friends?
Yes.
So was it like husbands hung out too, or like
no? She was single.
Okay.
She was single, and she was like this really cool woman who built her own house, and like she was like super cool and drove one of those vehicles with the snorkels on it. Land Rovers, like super cool,
fucking cool chick,
incredibly independent person, and I loved everything about her. Like, she was amazing. Like, she grew pot for a living, and she had this, like, she grew legal marijuana, like, for, how you get prescriptions and blah, blah, blah. Well, she built this, like, this giant warehouse and grew pot. And so I'd go in there and I'd help her clip or whatever. And then I'd come home and my kids would be like, "Oh, you're at your friend's house again. You smell like that." And I'm like, "Yep." Like, they knew exactly.
So in hindsight, do you realize that you probably took more than you gave in that relationship? And or what do you think?
No, I don't think so. Like, I believe that in a relationship, in a true friendship, there are times when you become needy. Like,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, so
I think there was a period of time
if you were taking
when I
too much, and she,
yeah.
Instead of dealing with it head on, she was like, "Fuck this,"
or instead of just saying, "You know what, time out. Like, this is too much for me. Like, I understand what you're going through, but this is too much for me." Like, none of those conversations happened.
What was happening in your head, like, when you realized you were being...
I'm just, like, of course, I don't really know what happened because she never told me. But to me, so there's this, like, when this happens in a relationship, there's this loop that just never, the connection never, it never ended. Like, it's still a miss for me. Like, there's still this part of me that goes, "What happened with that?"
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's still like a hole, like, you know? And I think it's only a hole because it was left like that.
Yeah. Like, no closure.
No closure. So, and I think that you can break up with a boyfriend or a husband, and if that happens, like, if someone just pulls out and doesn't tell you what's going on, you're left with this giant hole in your heart. So... that'll stay until it's rectified.
And the same thing can happen. Like, I think friendships, relationships, it's easy to compare them. Like, you need to nurture them all the same. So if you get your heart broken, it's the same. Like, to be ghosted by a friend is brutal. I have a similar story. It was like, again, early 20s. I was like just dating Karsten, and he has a friend. Like, we're still friends with this guy. And his girlfriend at the time, they ended up getting engaged and then breaking up and then getting back together. But, like, I was good friends with her because we all hung out together, right? It's like the girlfriends always hang out. But we did a lot of stuff just on our own. Like, she was my friend. And when they finally broke up for the last time, called off their wedding, everything, I was still hanging out with her because she was my friend. But we went for wings or something one night, and
wings again.
Yeah, that's all I used to do when I was in my early 20s, because we were cheap, every day of the week had different wing deals. So we went out, and I remember, like, just mentioning him, and I think this is where I fucked up, but, like, he ended up, like, dating my sister for a short period of time. So I said something like, "Oh yeah, like, he's with my sister now," like an idiot. I shouldn't have brought that up or whatever, right? Well, the next day I get to work and I had an email from her breaking up with me, pretty much saying, like, "I can't hang out with you anymore. Like, I wish I, like, still had it. Like, something to do. Like, it was, like, just immature. It wasn't like, I can't do this because. It was, like, I remember being really, like, hurt and upset and being like, like, what do you mean? Like, we're still friends. Like, just because you're not with him doesn't mean we can't be together." Looking it back, though, it's like, she doesn't want to hear about who he's with and stuff. Like, of course she didn't want that. Like, I'm so stupid to think. I'm like,
well, you were 20, so
exactly.
You were stupid because you're 20.
I remember being like really upset and being like, oh man, like, okay, like, oh, like I still see her on Instagram sometimes. I'm like, how you doing? Are you okay?
And she still broke up with you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, but it's just funny because when it comes to that, like, I could never hang out with her now because I'm like friends with him and his wife and like, I love them and like, oh, I'm just going to go hang out with your ex-fiance. Like, that'd be weird. I can't do that anyways.
But now it shouldn't be weird. Like, people, you should just get over it.
Yeah. No, I know. But like, I don't want to put anybody in an uncomfortable situation. Like the new wife who I'm very good friends with would be like, why are you going to hang out with her out of nowhere? Like, what? For what reason? And like, what does it matter? She might not care. Yeah. But I just don't want to, I don't know. It's just weird. But yeah, to break up with friends is weird. I don't know. Female friendships are such an interesting.
Female friendships are interesting. Absolutely. And well, I have thousands. I'm just kidding.
Thousands
of friends. But I mean, I've definitely pursued friendships as well.
Oh.
Like, have you ever went, I'm going to be friends with you. Have you ever done that?
You know, I can't think of a specific time. I can think of a time where I've met a girl and I like clicked with her. Like, you know, it's like a stranger and you meet her at a party or a gathering or something. And I'm like, I spend all night talking to her and I'm like super like, holy cow, you're like the coolest. Yeah, like I'm like, you're so fucking cool. I want to know everything about you, like that. But like, did I like take that further and like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sort of. I guess, because it's again, you can connect it to like a relationship with a guy. It's like if you feel a connection with somebody, it doesn't have to be a sexual connection. Like sometimes your souls connect and you're like, you're a fucking cool human. I want more of you.
That doesn't happen very often, does it? Like that whole soul connection. I definitely feel it I feel it a lot while I'm podcasting actually, because you know, often it's like you're looking for people who are talking about things on a soul level, right? And often I'm like, oh my God, I love you. Like it happens so often because I love talking to people that are super deep.
But I also find about myself, I can literally connect with anybody. So and my problem is I'm glad I'm not in the dating world.
Too.
I'm glad I'm not in the dating world because I think I would like connect with everyone. Like every date would be the best date ever, and I would find myself in some really weird situations.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
understand that. Yeah.
I bought a set of weights off some guy on Kijiji, so I drove across the city to go pick up these weights, and I get out and like it was like zero. It wasn't like a sexual thing. It was like I was just talking to him about the weights or whatever, right? And then he was telling me about these other weights he was gonna buy, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was thinking about those. Da da da. He's like, oh, I haven't got them yet. I'm like, I hear they kind of suck to do, and I was like, you should really let me know what you think of them. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, we're going to be friends now. Like, I want you to like text me and tell me what you think of these weights. And then I get in the car driving home. I'm like, I don't actually want this dude to text me and tell me about his weights. No, he didn't end up because that would be weird. Like, I just bought weights off of him. Like, we don't need to become friends. Yeah. But that's happened to me with other Kijiji shit too. Because you know, when you're like selling something on Kijiji, you end up having like a text conversation with the person or, oh, I'm going to be late or I'll meet you here. Or like, it's like, oh, I used it for this. Ha ha ha. And next thing you know, you're joking with somebody and I'm like, oh, cool. Like, we could be friends. Like, I literally can be friends with anybody. So
you can, but as soon as you don't talk to them for 2 days,
I forget about it.
Then your relationship.
But I'm that person at the bar. I come home with girls' phone numbers in my phone and new Facebook friends every time when I used to go to the bar, because I'd be in the bathroom and I'd be best friends with like this person and they're like, oh, she's telling me about like how she's with this guy and he's actually like married but they're here on a date and da da da.
Don't you find people exhausting?
No, I love it.
Yeah, so many times I'm like, you're fucked and you're fucked and you're fucked and you're exhausted.
But when I'm looking back, like the next day, I'm like, oh my God, that's a crazy person. But in the moment, I like I said, I connect with these people and I just feel this connection and I'm like, we are like friends. Like,
we're like soulmates.
Like in the moment, I'm like, I want to know everything about you. I want to help you with your problems. I want to tell you about my shit. I want to relate to you. I want to like be friends. And then later I'm like, oh my God, there's like 0% chance I want to be friends with this person. But it's like I get wrapped up in the moment.
But I think that so few people have that. And then I think that when people find you, they're like, oh my God, this person, okay, this is what it is so few people find that nobody wants to hear them. Like people generally talk.
Yeah.
and they just can't wait to talk themselves, right? And so if you're actually genuinely interested in somebody, people are like, oh my God, somebody's interested in talking to me. Like, it's almost a high when somebody wants to actually hear
and like ask questions and be like, oh, I remember you said this. Like, cause that, like, and I'm not even faking it. Like, that's why I started my first podcast, because it's literally, I get so much joy out of hearing people's stories.
Okay. And now we're just talking about why we podcast. Like, like back to the beginning of this. That's what it is. It is that, you get high off the connection with somebody. Like, you're just like, I get it. And there's this like I remember that conversation you had with that trans person. Like, I remember how much you loved that and learning about this person. And you felt like, this person is going to be my best friend ever.
And then I went and hung out with him I went to Lethbridge and we had a dinner or whatever, and we haven't really talked since. I think he's texted me on my birthday or something, like, but the thing is like, that's the kind of person, like, I would text him in a second and be like, hey man, how's it going? The problem, he sucks at texting. If you're listening, which I know you're not, you take forever to respond, and I know you know that about yourself. We'll work on it. But it's like, you're absolutely right though. Like, I had the chance to like I get super excited, and then because he happened to live close, and it was like, I made it work though. Like, I drove to go see him. It was an hour.
That's crazy that you did that.
It happened to be that Karsten's cousin lives in the same town, so I kind of joined it as a group thing. I brought the kids, we did a thing, but like, I left the kids with her husband, and me and her and Karsten's cousin went and had dinner or whatever, and like, it was lovely, and it was exactly what I wanted, and I'm like, I'm so happy I get to meet you in person. Like, this
and
is
was it just what did he? It was a he, right?
Yeah.
Did he look like his picture?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, wow.
It's just like, I don't know. Like, I just love people. I love people's stories.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just love it. So like, any of my friends, don't break up with me. I need you. But like, I don't know. Even like, COVID's been weird too, because at the beginning of COVID, especially, and even like a little bit now, like sometimes, like, you know, did you have any of like those Zoom calls with like random people? Because everybody was like, what is this, back in March and April?
I don't even know if I've Zoomed other than with you and people at work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, I like Zoomed with this girlfriend, like, I hadn't seen in like 10 years randomly, because she was like just calling people, and I was like, okay, cool. I ended up having a glass of wine with her, and like, I'm like, I barely know you. Like, I haven't seen you in 10 years, but I'm having like this good conversation with you. And like, we've like kept up a decent amount. I like dropped her off cookies at Christmas. Like, I'm like, I just like enjoy it. Like, it's just weird how, like, friendships don't always have to be a daily.
No, they don't.
I have a couple friends right now who are going through something. I'm kind of in the middle of it, and I don't want to be, and I don't think.
Why would you be in the middle of it?
They don't want me to be in the middle of it, but like, they both. Okay, so I know them, like, I'm in the middle because they were friends, and I knew the one girl, and then
broke up?
No, and then I started hanging out, and then I met her, the other girl, and then we all started kind of hanging out, but I've done things separately with just, you know, we like formed a connection, and our families hang out and stuff too. But they're having a little bit of issues, like, it's just miscommunication, and their relationship is changing, expectations and shit, right? But then they'll be like, oh, have you talked to her? Have you talked, you know? And I'm like, and they're like, I don't want you to be in the middle.
Then don't be in the middle.
I'm not, believe me. But all I'm thinking is like, just like, guys, please stay together, because like, I don't want, you know, like, I just want.
But sometimes if you're not mature enough, like, just like, I don't get
But relationships can change. I've got good friends who I talk to.
Supposed to change.
Exactly. Like, one of my best friends from high school, she lives in Okotoks, and I see her once every 6 months. We talk on the phone every like 3 to 4 months. Like, but when I see her and I talk to her, it's lovely and great, and there's no expectation, there's no hurt feelings. It's not like, oh my God, you haven't called her. I didn't know that your husband got promoted. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't tell you. Whereas like, there's certain friends, it's like, you didn't tell me he got promoted. Like,
that's the worst.
But there's certain people that, it's like your sister. If you didn't tell your sister that you were moving, she'd be like, what the fuck? Where I'm sure you have some friends, it's like, oh, you moved? Cool. You know what I mean? Like, there's different expectations and different things that you have to do for certain relationships. Yeah. But if you had that relationship with somebody at one point, and now all of a sudden they're the kind of friend you don't tell when you're moving, it can, like, hurt feelings can happen.
I think that the problem with people is expectations. And this is the biggest thing. When you expect people to act a certain way, then it causes hurt feelings. If you can just go, oh, well, they moved and they didn't tell me. Oh, well, I guess they didn't think it was important. And instead of going, what does that mean to me? And that's maturity.
I absolutely agree. And there's baggage behind it too. Like you could have like reasons that
annoying is what it is.
I know.
If I'm moving, I'm probably not going to tell you. I'm just going to not.
Yeah. How many people did you tell when you moved, or did you just move? I've got my list of people I need to call and
Why
update.
do I need to tell you?
But there's certain, like your sister would be like, what, you moved and didn't tell me? Like there's certain people that you obviously just tell what's going on in your day-to-day life. There's like friends that know your day-to-day shit, and then there's friends that like you just happen to like catch up on. Oh, hey, I didn't tell you, like I don't know, I'm going to Africa.
I think that most of my relationships are the latter, you know, like the whole, you know, I talk to most of my friends once a month.
The older I get, the more I'm finding that, because you're busy with your own family. Like I know, like,
and once your kids grow up, like you're thinking, well, you got more time for your friends. Well, actually, you're in your own life.
Totally.
You know, you have to make time for your friends.
Yeah. Friendships are strange,
but important. We need them.
I'm learning that so much in this COVID.
You need your girlfriends. Like they'll get you through so much. Like I've got this one girlfriend, and sometimes she can be really annoying because she's always in my business. You know what I mean? That girl.
Like so what? What do you mean?
Like she's just someone who's always giving you advice and shit, and you're like,
oh, when you don't ask for it?
Yeah, like that kind of thing. But at the same time,
are you talking about me?
At the same time, it's like this. Okay, so I have this one girlfriend who's always in my business. You know what I mean? Like, and she's gonna find out, and she's going to give me shit. You know
I need an example. Like, I don't really know what you mean.
Like, I don't know if I have an example, but when things are going bad, so like when I was with my ex-husband and things were going bad, and like, 'cause, like he was really controlling and really demanding, and I would just close down.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't answer my phone calls. I wouldn't, like, I just don't want to put that stuff out there.
So she would push.
She would like come over to my house, bang on the door, and then I wouldn't answer the door, and then she would come in anyways and drag me out of the house, and like we need to have a conversation.
She thought she was doing you something good.
But she was.
Okay.
Yeah, like she was. Like she's like, I see where you're at, and you don't need to put up with this bullshit, and like, do you know what I mean? Like there's always, like, there's that whole, like, I'm more of the person who's like, I'm going to stay out of your business. Like, if you tell me you don't want me around and you need your space, I'm going to respect that. But she's like, fuck that. I'm here. Like, let's fix this. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
And do you, like, look back and you're grateful, or are you more annoyed?
Yeah,
okay.
I am grateful.
Good.
I am grateful because how many people would really show up for you like that?
I have something going on in my life right now like that, where I'm looking at it and I'm going, this is a terrible situation you're in, one of my friends, and I don't want to put my 2 cents in too much because I don't want her to pull back and retreat from me. I want her to feel open enough to share if something does go wrong.
Yeah.
And so I did send her a message the other day. I said, I know kind of what's going on. I know you guys are back together, but can you just watch out for signs and know that I'm here? And if something bad happens, like, I'm here and I want you to like reach out to me. And I hope that you guys are good.
I would do it. But this particular friend of mine would say, fuck that, you're a, you know, she'd say to my husband, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he'd be like, I know.
Yeah, Brenda's here again. Like, yeah. Well, that's the thing, because that's like where my brain wants to go with this friend. But I know it's
push your friends away that way. Like, that's a risky move.
I know, and I don't want that. I would rather, if something does go wrong, I want her to like at least to have somebody that's there to call, because I reached out to her. I said, I see that you guys are kind of like doing your thing again, and she said, yeah, I know. I was kind of nervous to post it on social media because
they're breaking up or something.
Well, they had a breakup and now they're back together, but the breakup wasn't that good or whatever. And then she said, I think I've already lost a really good friend because of getting back together with him.
Yeah, especially if he was a douche.
Oh yeah.
And she went and posted it all over social media.
Well, she didn't, but like everybody kind of knew what happened, and it wasn't good, and we're all kind of like, what are you doing back? But it's like, I have faith in you that you are aware of what's going on. You say that you guys are working on your shit. You're going to counseling.
Whatever you're hearing, I'm like, it's not going to work.
I know. But I'm there for her, and it is what it is. Like, I don't want to say, like, you're stupid, because what do I know?
She's
I'm not there.
Stupid.
That's what I mean.
I mean, I've been in that situation before too, when someone is always calling you out or calling you down. Like, I've been in that relationship, and that feeling of feeling trapped is real.
And
like,
that's when then you don't share it when something goes wrong, because you don't want the "I told you so's" or whatever. So, like, that's not. Yeah.
I told you so's never work, but the "I'm there for you" is important.
Yeah.
Like, I love you and I'm there for you.
Like,
is super important.
But I just made sure I said, you watch out for signs. Keep an eye out.
She knows this. She's already got signs.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on.
Let's get to some wine and what the fucks.
All right, let's do it.
It's time for our favorite segment.
Wine and what the fuck.
Everybody grab yourself a glass of wine and let's tune into this. What the fuck?
Let's tear a new asshole to somebody.
Okay, Monica, what do we got?
Okay. Gotta tell you, this is from my sister. So I do have some personal insight into this one.
Okay, that's good.
All right. So she writes, my sister-in-law is very controlling of my husband, so that would be my brother-in-law, and likes to cook dinner for Christmas and bring it to my house.
So your brother-in-law's sister does this?
Yes.
Like your sister's husband's
sister.
Okay.
Yeah. Where was I? Okay. The family hates it because every time she does this, she doesn't have anything ready and we all end up eating at 10 p.m. frustrated and hungry. I asked her last year 2 times not to do this, and again, I told her we were ordering. Wait, it's like
COVID.
COVID. Okay.
God damn it, Monica! I told you not to come here with COVID.
Okay, start over. My sister-in-law is very controlling of my husband and likes to cook dinner for Christmas and bring it to my house. The whole family hates it because every time she does this, she doesn't have anything ready and we all end up eating at 10 p.m. frustrated and hungry. I asked her last year 2 times not to do this and again, and told her we are ordering in so that we can enjoy each other's company and not cook and clean all evening. I didn't mention it is because she can't get her shit together. The week before Christmas, she called my husband and told him she's already bought the turkey and is making dinner again. My husband asked me if I'm okay with it and told me it is important to him to keep the peace in the family because otherwise his sister will stonewall him and not talk to him for months if she doesn't get her way. I feel like my husband should stick up for me because I feel like his sister is shitting on me, but I love him and want to be happy and not at odds with his sister. What should I do?
So I've got a couple questions, and I guess you can probably answer them.
Okay.
Why does this woman not host dinner at her own house?
Okay, so my sister has this great big huge house, and so it'd be her and her husband, and then his son would come over too. Now, my sister hates the sister-in-law, so she would not come over to the sister-in-law's place.
So if the sister-in-law was hosting, she just wouldn't go.
Yes.
They wouldn't spend Christmas together.
Right.
So your sister's willing to have her come into her house, though? Why? Because it's like her territory?
It's so fucked. It's so fucked on so many levels. So from what I understand, so like you heard, she said, I'm going to bring the turkey and all the things, and I'm going to cook it. And my sister's like, oh, blank, please don't. Let's not do this. She did it anyways. And then after Christmas last year, she said, well, let's not do that. And at that point, the sister-in-law stopped talking to my sister. Like said, like, what? You don't want me to bring turkey dinner? I'm not talking to you. And then she stopped talking to her own brother too. Like, if you're gonna stick up for your wife, I'm not talking to you. So then, like, she became this huge cunt.
Yeah.
Basically. And so then my sister apologized to her and said, hey, let's try to work this out. No conversation. And so between one Christmas and the other, they have not spoken to each other, even though my sister has tried to apologize. Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Right? And so then she calls and she says, I'm bringing turkey over this year too. Like, do you not see that as like a huge, like...
That's insane. That's mental illness.
Okay. So my sister says, should I, like, my husband's not sticking up for me. So the husband is then saying, oh, well, we'll just let her come over and cook turkey
like,
for
just
dinner.
leave it alone.
Like, can you just
I just don't... Okay, from the sister's point of view.
Yeah.
why does she want to cook so bad? What is her need to like provide?
I almost see the cooking as a slap in the face to my sister. Do you know what I mean? Like,
does your sister like cooking?
No.
So she like if she didn't bring the food, like you said, your sister wants to order in, like she wouldn't cook. So maybe she's like, well, we can't order in. Like, it has to be the Christmas dinner. If you're not going to make it, who's gonna? Right. My poor brother needs to have turkey and stuffing. And is that like what it is?
I don't know. But the point of the fact is if you go, okay, this didn't work this year, let's do it my way next year.
Yeah, let's take turns.
Yeah, like you got your way this year.
If I was yours, honestly, there is like, if it's my house.
Yeah.
I'm cooking, but I'm also like, I don't mind cooking. The idea that somebody's going to come into my kitchen and I'm going to sit on the couch while they cook, there's...
Okay, now stop right here. And you feel this way, but your husband says to you, oh, Amanda, like...
Just take it easy. Let her cook.
Just do it. And so that she hasn't spoken to, your sister-in-law hasn't spoken to in a full year.
Okay, but before that, the first time it happened.
The first time it happened,
what does your sister do? Just sit back and be like at the island watching her cook, and she's going, oh yeah, the spoons are there, the baster's there. Oh, you need the.
I don't know. I wasn't fucking
like
there.
In my mind, I'm just like, somebody else in my kitchen gives me like such anxiety I can't fucking handle it. That's like a different situation.
Like I wouldn't do it.
There's certain people that don't mind that kind of stuff, but I don't even want people always want to help me like clean up after. I'm like, I'll just do it. I know my kitchen. I know where everything goes. Like, go sit down, enjoy yourself.
I'd say you want the turkey dinner, I'm gonna cook the turkey dinner.
100%.
That's what I would say. But this is beside the point.
Your sister's sister-in-law.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, read the room. One of those situations again. Yeah. Like, no, you fed everybody at 10 p.m. Like, what you did didn't work. Like, and is it because you were cooking in somebody else's kitchen maybe? Like, is that why it took so long?
The problem here is my sister says, I don't want to do this again. And her husband is going, oh, just let my sister do it.
Is it an older sister?
Yes, an older sister. And so backstory, the relationship between her husband and the sister is the sister ended up somehow taking care of him. Like there was like some sort of relationship where...
How much older? Quite a bit?
Like I'm gonna say quite a bit. But the relationship is almost more like
motherly.
Mother and son.
That explains a lot about what's going on here.
It does. And so when I first heard the story, I said, well, just let her do it. Just let him have his way. Like, don't make him feel like a piece of shit. But the problem is that she's being a cunt to my sister.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because my sister tried to, like, I don't think she needed to apologize for saying, hey, let's do it my way. But because of that, the sister-in-law didn't speak to the husband for 3 months and just wouldn't speak to him. And because that relationship is not really sister-brother, it's more like mother-son.
How immature of her. Like, that's crazy.
But what should the husband have done?
He needs to support his wife. I have said it a few other times. The thing that I respect so much about my dad is how much he supports my mom. Whether she's right or wrong, he always has her back.
Yeah.
Always. And it's like, that's what you do when you marry somebody. And then, behind closed door, I didn't like what Karsten did the other day with me when I was like being mean to Colton, and he didn't say anything in front of us. Like, and it was
shouldn't. Yeah.
No, totally. It was like later when it was just the two of us. He's like, that was a little harsh, and I was like, oh yeah, good point. Blah blah blah. We've already had this conversation, but not like as a partnership. Yeah. He should, like, when you marry somebody, you're their partner.
Family relationships can be so difficult. Like. Yeah. I've had a mother-in-law. I've had two mother-in-laws, actually. And I think the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter can often be stagnant and weird. And I know that with my first mother-in-law, like when I married John, like my relationship with his mom was often, like, she felt it was fine. But I think that I was like, I felt like I was not quite living up to their expectations. And I think that I felt that. But I wonder if... back to young Monica, like going back to being 18, 19, 20, 30. Like, I wonder if you just throw that stuff, like if you're reading more into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what is your relationship with your mother-in-law?
We get along really well. She's very chill, and I've like never had any issues with her. I think I'm lucky in that regard. And
yeah, you are.
I wonder, like, has Johnny ever had any, your son, has he ever had any serious girlfriends or
No.
So can you visualize what it would be like for you? Like, let's say he brought home a girl who was like, I don't know, just kind of like a flaky, skanky, kind of like, she's never going to get a job. She wears like...
See, I think that what happens is you always have this feeling you want the best for your son.
Yeah.
You know? And so I do understand...
Would you, like, if you get this vibe from this girl that you're like, oh, I don't really like you that much, like, would you be able to hold that back, or would you just...
I think I would have to.
Yeah.
I think that the problem becomes I think that often what happens is when there's grandchildren involved and then you don't agree with how they're raising their kids.
Yeah.
Like, I think that so much can happen there.
Yeah. So if your sister's situation, like, is more like a mother-son thing, so, like, maybe that's why he's got this loyalty to his sister, because he's got this, like...
But what if that person is always constantly undermining you and doing things to hurt you?
It's very disrespectful to do the whole... If somebody is going to apologize to you, that's huge. Yeah. And for you to not accept it, especially when, like, the apology didn't need to be there.
And then to say, I'm going to do the same thing next year. Isn't that just...
It's like rubbing something...
Isn't that the biggest fuck you
it
ever?
Is. I think that's
and
crazy.
And so she actually ended up going, well, you have dinner with your sister, I'm leaving. And that's what ended up happening.
Interesting.
So she said, yeah, I'm bringing over the turkey. And so they were going away to Mexico for Christmas, which is a whole other conversation. But she just said, well, I'm leaving. You can have dinner with your sister and I'm out of here. Which, like...
That's kind of crazy.
It
like,
is.
Did that...
And so,
put a strain on their relationship at all?
Well, we talked about that, and she said, well, I'm just going to choose, like, my mantra is always, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? So if you want to be happy, then you're just going to, if your husband can't let this go, and this is really something that he can't let go of, like, this is something that's causing him immense anxiety to say no to her, are you not better just to go?
But what does that dinner look like? Like, wife has left. You're sitting there with your sister eating this turkey at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And you're staring at each other. I'm so happy we did this. Like, is that even good? Like, is he enjoying himself?
I don't think so, but his obligation is finished.
Is the sister enjoying herself?
I think she's got her fuck you in.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's...
I won.
Okay. Yes. So I'm not that person and you're not that person. So it's really hard to imagine wanting to do something so badly just to say...
Just to win?
Just to win.
I think that what you gain versus what you lose doesn't balance out there. Like,
so she is losing. Like, she's losing respect from her brother. She's lost her relationship with her sister-in-law.
Yeah.
But some people, they just seem to just have this disconnect and all they see is what I want. Now we're talking about narcissism, right? And that's about, everything is about me. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter how anyone feels. It matters how I feel. I'm the most important person in the universe. And that's probably the biggest capital N narcissist move you can do. Like, I can't
imagine going through my life being that way. Like, if I knew somebody was like feeling such anxiety about me coming to do something because I had, like, it would put a pit in my stomachs. Like, I make up stories in my head sometimes about how people are feeling because of something I did, and it gives me anxiety, and it's probably not even happening.
It happened. It's happening all the time. No,
oh, fuck.
I'm just kidding.
But
I'm kidding.
To go through your life and be like, well, at least I won. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Like
what kind of person are you?
Ugh.
Like, it's horrible. And I totally understand that my sister's feeling almost a little bit of betrayal.
From her husband?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, so you're not choosing me, but...
Does that, like, let's think about that when it comes to, like, masculinity. And I know we want to have a conversation about that separately, but... Yeah. To me, to be like not being able to stand up for what you really believe in is kind of like a weak trait.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a little bit of a turn off. Like, does your sister feel that? Like, do you know?
I can't speak for her, but I would wonder that it would.
Like, if I'm looking at my husband and he can't say no to his sister, even though he really wants to, and he's kind of like, whatever, I'll just do it. Like, to me, I'm like, be a man. Like,
so here's the thing. Is like we're talking about like the type of men that me and you like, we like the old dirty Carhartts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We like the guy who can
change a tire
and get, well, he's not that guy.
Okay.
You know?
So she likes other things about him.
Well, he's extremely intelligent, super smart, super kind, super sensitive. Like all these wonderful traits. And sometimes you can't have it all.
That's a good point.
So if you are with somebody and you love these things about them and you've gone through all the bad boys and you're like, I never want to do another bad boy again. Yeah. This is what I want. Yeah. But you can't have it all. Yeah. Like you can't have the I want the emotionally connected man. Yeah. And then also want him to throw you against the wall and fuck you. Yeah, you know?
Yeah, totally. But I think it's okay to like really appreciate, you know, the sensitivity in him and all that, and also want him to like stand up for you, which she obviously wants. Yeah. And that can eventually turn into like, you kind of look at him and like, you can't even stand up for me. Like that's like it's not just like a feeling of
But that
hurt.
would be the same thing as if my sister wouldn't stand up for me, or my best friend wouldn't stand up for me, or like anybody. Like,
but okay, then there's also that like, you know how I watch a lot of reality TV, or at least I used to, and like all these like women be like, you didn't stand up for me, and it's like, well, you were wrong. What doesn't matter? You should still stand up for me.
You shouldn't.
There's a difference between like, some people are like, I'm loyal to no end. It doesn't matter. You could murder somebody and I'll be loyal. And it's like, well, no, like you have to only stand up for somebody who deserves to be stood up for, right? So like there's that side too. Like,
okay, so you know this about your partner. So if you have a partner who is, I'm going to say, weak in this area, and this weakness is, I can't stand up to people, and you know this about them, and now you're going to say, I'm going to make you do this. It's also like you've married this person knowing this.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you know that they're oversensitive and they are this way and they're loving, and they just basically, this person, her husband, just wants to make everybody happy.
And that's actually a very good quality. And that's probably one of the things she actually loves about him, is that he is kind of like that pleaser, and he wants people to feel good and happy. And it's an unfortunate situation. I actually feel really shitty for him.
Yeah, like just try to try that on for a minute, to have somebody in your life who's going to say, someone who you love deeply and want their respect, says to you, if you don't do it my way, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. And like, I know you'd say, well, fuck you.
I don't know if I would though. It depends who it was. Like,
yeah, but if it's your father, who says you're either doing it my way, and you're going to be like, okay, so then my question is again, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? Well, the answer is always, well, you want to be happy. And so my sister took the high road and said, have dinner with your sister so that you can maintain your relationship with your sister. I'm out of here.
But that's not being happy. Is that being happy? Spending Christmas separate, and you're like, who's happy in that situation?
The situation, yes. And the brother or the husband is happy because he has avoided conflict.
He's not happy. There's no way he was sitting at dinner happy his wife wasn't with him. He's not happy. He's like, fuck, how long until my sister leaves and my wife can come home?
Yes.
Like, that's not Christmas. That's not the spirit of Christmas.
No, and it's avoiding conflict. It's avoiding. See, the thing is like, it's okay for people not to like you, which is something that I have a really hard time with too. Like, if somebody,
people don't like you, I don't believe it.
Everybody loves me, but if there was that one person that didn't, I would probably try to make them like me, and I would say, I don't understand, why don't they like me?
It's like the friendship thing we were talking about. That is one thing I do. If I can feel like somebody doesn't like really like me, or
but
doesn't,
why wouldn't they like you?
I don't know. I think I'm too much for some people. I can tell. You can. I read the room, right? I can tell that sometimes people are like, fuck this chick, like whatever. I do my best to make them like me. Yeah. And it's like kind of pathetic sometimes.
Yeah. I can understand that. And so here's the thing about something that me and you are both really good at, is when you find somebody, you can make them like you, because all they really want is for someone to hear them. Yeah. So you just say, oh, you're a golfer? Tell me about that. Yeah. And then you just start asking them questions about their life.
And the time I went golfing.
And sooner they're like, oh my God, I love Amanda. And you know, I have that same ability that you do. Like, I can make people like me. And I am genuinely interested in that.
I've had, though, like, there's some people that I'm like, you just don't like me. Like, I can think of a few that I'm like, no matter what I've done. But then I think about it, I'm like, I don't even really like you. Why do I want your approval so bad? It's like, some people just don't click. Yeah. You know, it's like, but for me, I'm like, I just want approval from everybody. And it doesn't matter if, like, I think you're worthy of it.
So you don't need to like them, but they need to like you. Is that right?
Maybe. But I think the older I get and the more I think about it, I don't really care as much anymore. I'm like, I get it. But I've had times in my past where I'm like, well, why didn't I get invited to that or whatever? And then I'm like, wait, would I have invited them to a party if I had one? No. Like, why am I upset I didn't get invited to their... Do you know what I mean?
Well, just because they don't like Carson. It has nothing to do with you.
Thank you. Thank you. That is what it is. But I don't know. It's a weird thing to think like that.
I've definitely had those moments too of like, oh, I wasn't invited, and you know what was it about it? What is it that? But you can't do that. You need to just put that shit to bed.
That can give so much anxiety. Like, ugh.
Oh my God! If your life is all about making people like you, like you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're fucked. But so back to this. Back to this thing, like I think it's an endless loop of just wait for that sister to die because it's never gonna end well.
You know what? That's actually good advice, and it sucks to be you. Because really, you're right. Because like I'm thinking, what's gonna happen next year? The same thing.
So do you? Okay, let's play the devil's advocate, and we say you need to tell your husband to man up.
No, I don't think that's the answer, though.
No, it isn't. So what would happen then? So knowing what I've just said about who he is, you've created so much anxiety because he might do it.
What I would like to do is, I know she's tried this already, but I'm curious about the apology and the conversation. Yeah. So the two women, your sister and the sister, like your sister and his sister, need to go for a walk and talk is what I call it.
Yeah.
Don't go to coffee. Don't go to dinner. Walk. Because something about having a brisk walk gets your brains flowing in a different way. If it's winter, put on your boots, get outside. If not, running shoes.
You know what? I think that is actually amazing advice. If the sister-in-law will do it, not just don't just send her a text.
Yeah, be like, let's go for a walk.
Let's work this out.
Let's go for a walk and just start talking. And like, what have you been up to? How are the kids? Whatever. I don't know if they have kids. Did you have a good dinner tonight? Whatever. Talk about bullshit stuff as you're walking. You just want to get exercise. That's what you use as an excuse.
But you know that this person is going to drop a bomb on you.
You start fucking walking. You start talking. And you're just like, listen, this is a situation. Like, it doesn't have to be confrontational. It doesn't have to be harsh. It just has to be like, we need to reach a common ground here.
I think we just need to say, like, you love my husband.
Yeah.
I love my husband. Like, this is where our common ground is. Like, what can we do
and if
to make things better?
If the only thing is that if she can't get dinner on the table before 9, be like,
eat. If that, I mean, okay, but the issue really isn't about the dinner.
No.
The issue is really about, I've said this, and you didn't talk to me for a full year because I said it.
And she could say, like, it's actually kind of like, it really hurt that you did that. I'm trying to, create this relationship with you or maintain this relationship with you. And I know you have certain expectations of your brother, but so do I.
But what if the woman is a bitch and she doesn't?
Well, that's like, in my mind, I'm like, anybody can be reasoned with, but you're right. Maybe not. But I don't know. Like, I think most people can be reasoned with if you're not being a dick. Like, if you're not being confrontational and you're not... The problem is it's hard to do that.
But what if this person is that person that you just have to be so nice to and everything has to be delicate? Like, it's fucking exhausting to deal with.
It is exhausting like that. But you try to cut those people out of your life as best you can, or you work with them.
Unless they're your family.
Unless they're your family. But that's why you work with them. And it might not work. I'm just saying, like, people can be convinced and mold. If you like, playing the game is a big thing. I think if you know how to talk to a certain people, play into her ego. You make such a good dinner.
Ego is so important. Like, people like that generally, all you need to do is say, I really need your advice on something.
Yeah, be like, I'm really having these issues, like, whatever, right? Like,
my vagina is really dry and I need to know the name of your lube because obviously you're dry.
When's the last time you had an orgasm?
Oh!
That's called a callback to one of our previous conversations.
You really need to come. That's Amanda's solution to everything. Is if you just came every day, that's it, Amanda.
I'm telling you. I bet. Like, find out last time that lady came.
You know what? Here's my solution, sister. Send her a vibrator and a large dildo, like one of those really big fat cocks.
She doesn't need a big one. You don't need a big one.
Like a little tiny one?
You can just, all you need is a vibrator, man. Just let her start soft and small. Maybe not soft. That was a weird. Start small. Ease into it. Do a little clip play. You'll get off. It will make you a happier person.
And then, like, I think it should almost be like a doctor's prescription. Like, you need to get off every day. You'll be a happier person. Then go for the walk. And then say, how's your orgasm been? Are you feeling better?
Seriously.
Because how can you be a mean, miserable person if you're coming every day?
I don't think it's possible. No. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. I really do think, though, like, if you're having these issues with somebody, sometimes it's awkward. Having those conversations is fucking awkward.
Well, you've had awkward conversations.
And you have to. That's the only, it's like, I don't want to talk about this right now, but that's why you do it. Like, I heard one time that guys do best when they're not looking straight on. It's like have a conversation in a car or something when you're, and the same
goes. It's a great
goes
strategy for your children.
Totally. And with walking, I find like I just if I want to like have like a chat with a friend, it's like get a couple steps in, get a little bit of exercise, and just go for a walk. And like I was listening to this podcast the other day on Dax Shepard's, and there was a guy talking about brain health and stuff. And they were talking about like doing crossword puzzles is good for your brain or whatever. And Buddy was saying like they've actually found going for a brisk walk with a friend and talking about your shit, just like your problems or your thoughts or your anxieties or whatever, is more beneficial than like for your brain health than doing crossword puzzles every day. And I absolutely agree with that. I think like talking and moving and all like just get like don't just like go and sit and have a coffee and stare in somebody's eyes. That's fucking awkward. You're gonna like say whatever you can to get out of that situation.
You know, I was talking to a guy on a podcast, and his job was actually he dealt with youth, and he worked with them physically, and in that physical mode when you were lifting weights or whatever, you'd start a conversation because there's something happens to your brain that allows things to flow. Like it's science.
Yeah, science.
So
man.
Science. Let her come, go for a walk.
Buy her a vibrator.
Make her some tea.
Yeah.
We solved all the problems of the world.
That's what we do on this podcast. And I want to thank all of you guys for joining us on this journey where we solve the problems of the world.
And if you and any sponsors out there for vibrators want to send us ones to try.
Yeah, we're willing to try. And
I'll let you know which ones work the best.
All of you guys listening, you should go subscribe to all of our shit. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And our Instagram.
And our Facebook.
Is there anything else? We need to do the TikTok. We need to get on that TikTok.
Oh God, I had to delete my TikTok because it's way too addicting. I can't get on it. I can't.
I hate the TikTok.
Greg
loves TikTok. I'm almost ready to get rid of him because of it.
That's hilarious. But that's the thing with TikTok. I had it for a while. I turned it on. 4 hours would pass. I'd still be scrolling. And I'm like,
that's what Greg does. He's on the toilet for 2 hours laughing at the TikTok.
Yeah, no, I literally deleted the app because it's not good for me. But anyway, so we won't be on TikTok. Monica might be, but I won't.
You'll see me clapping and dancing and whatever one does on the TikTok.
Whatever one does on the TikTok. But if you guys want to support us, if you're liking our show, can you comment on our conversations? We want to know what you guys think of all this nonsense.
Absolutely. Because
we have strong opinions, and I need you to tell me that Monica's wrong.
And know that Monica's right and Amanda's wrong.
Okay, thanks for tuning in.
Take care, guys.
See you on the next one.
Bye. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to It's Really None of Our Business podcast with Monica and Amanda. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you know all the places. If you've enjoyed this podcast, tell your friends, and please rate and review us where you can. If you are brave enough to reach out and ask us for advice, we will definitely read it out on our show. We'll totally keep your name anonymous, so what do you got to lose? You can reach us by email at ask.noneofourbusiness@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing from you guys soon. Ciao.